Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge, and with the Champions League over, attention quite rightly turns towards the Premier League weekend, and the big question, will Liverpool bring Mo Salah back into their team? Well, the Telegraph are reporting this morning that Liverpool are opposed to doing that because they do not want it to be a farewell game for Salah, which basically will decrease his value if Liverpool are basically saying he can go. So also, Slot has basically hinted that he wants an apology. Does Salah's behaviour suggest we'll get an apology? And of course, in Salah's outburst, he basically said he's told his family to come to the game because he's going to say goodbye to the Liverpool fans before the AFCON game, and who knows what will happen after that. So it feels like Salah may want it to be a farewell party, but Liverpool don't want that to protect their own interests. And also, there is the argument that is a one-game ban sufficient for what he did only last Saturday night? And maybe from Liverpool's point of view, let's keep having the conversations, but you're not going to play against Brighton. Added into that, I think there are concerns over the availability of Chiesa and Gakpo for the game against Brighton, which will be a difficult game as well. So how will this play out? It's another headache for Liverpool Football Club at a time where they don't need that. You know, they're already having a headache in the Premier League. It was a good result against Inter Milan, which retains the possibility of them finishing in the top 8 in the Champions League, but they desperately need to change their pathway in the Premier League. So how do you resolve it? I personally think that, look, I would put him on the bench. You know, people are going to go mad and go, grr. I'd put him on the bench. If you haven't got Gakpo and you haven't got Chiesa, you've got to think about 3 points for Liverpool Football Club. He's an employee. And who knows, he might come on and get you a goal when it's 0-0 or you're losing. So I think to not have him there could damage your prospects of getting a result. However, sometimes the bigger picture is larger than the smaller picture, quite logically. And if Salah is not very regretful about what he said last Saturday, you can't just put him in the team because you need him, because then he wins. So you might have to take a little bit of short-term pain for long-term gain. So I think it's going to be interesting. My feeling is they won't put him in. Because I think if you do put him in and you do use him, the way the world works, everybody's going to assume that, oh, this could be Mo Salah's last goodbye. You know, he's at Anfield, and you create you create this situation. Sorry. I'm getting emotional. I'm not. I just had some nuts. It's that time of year, isn't it? You know, peanuts. But you create this scenario that Liverpool might not want. Liverpool might put him on the bench, or they might start him because they feel it's the best way to get a result against Brighton. But their fans and the media will say, oh, is this a goodbye for Salah, when it might not be? And then you elongate the conversation. Whereas if he's not involved, like he wasn't involved in Inter, all you got to put up with is his Instagram posts and the continued debate online. So I think from Liverpool's point of view, the logical thing is to not include him at all, stay silent, await Salah's apology or statement of what he wants to do, and deal with that, but try and keep it in-house. However, it's such an important game that they need to win. I think there are many permutations. I mean, it's very clear that I think Mo Salah thinks he's going to be involved, and Liverpool may well be of an opinion, look, we make that decision, we're your employer. But it's a difficult one. It is a difficult one. I think, as I said, the best pathway would be to just not involve him, say talks are ongoing, he's off to the AFCON and we'll pick them up in January. You then elongate the time, and time's a great healer, and also you're not really giving a conclusion to the story. So if people want to buy him, they don't know whether he's really available or not. So you retain the value, like the Telegraph says. And I think that's logically the thing to do. You do then risk a bad result against Brighton, and Salah saying, I told you so. But at the end of the day, you're still not putting him up for sale. Whereas I think if they go, yeah, Salah's playing on Saturday, he'll be there on Saturday, come along and thank a legend of our football club, you might be depreciating the value, you might be allowing him to win, and you might be actually damaging yourself. And ultimately, they've got to do what's best for Liverpool Football Club. So I'd be interested to see what people would do about it. I certainly think that, you know, if there's any glimpse of Mo Salah playing to the level he can play, then, you know, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But in essence, a player that deserved to be dropped, in my opinion, who I have massive respect for. I think he's a fantastic player. As I said, I think at times he's been underrated, not overrated. But I don't think he's been up to it this season, and I think his reaction was out of order. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think Liverpool will also, it's Thursday, isn't it? So I think Liverpool will be quite quick to say what's going to happen. Because if he's going to get left out, I think they'll be quite quick to do that. Because what they won't want is the day before the game or the match day to become about Salah's been left out again, and potentially you get a statement from him. And, you know, Liverpool need to be very focused on that game. They need to win that game on Saturday. I mean, look, they've drawn their last 2 against Leeds and Sunderland. You've got to be, these are games that they would have earmarked as an opportunity to get 6 points, and they've took 3 points against Brighton as well. So they need to win that game of football. And also, does bringing Mo Salah in cause and this is a good point as well, does bringing Mo Salah in cause a distraction, or does it help? Does that help Arne Slot? Does that help the team, or are they better off without the circus at the moment where they focus on themselves? And again, that's something that needs to be brought in as well. There's also the added drama that I watched the Real Madrid game last night, and I feel sorry for Xabi Alonso, and I feel like Real Madrid at some point are going to move him on. And is that an option that Liverpool might look at as well? I mean, could Salah outlast Slot? I don't know. I think it's a precarious situation, but I do think that if I was short, putting him on the bench from a footballing point of view makes sense. But from a reputational point of view, you're probably better off not having him involved at all. So it'd be very interesting to see how they play it out, because you've also got to look at the fact as well, is that if they do move him on in January, they're going to have to replace him in January. They leave themselves very short up front, and Champions League football's not guaranteed. In fact, they don't look like a Champions League top 4 side at the moment. They really don't. I don't even know that I would say they'll beat Brighton on Saturday. And if you can't beat Brighton at home and you can't beat Sunderland at home, you're not a top 4 team, with all due respect. So, I mean, even they've got this massive Salah drama, but then they've also got the uncertainty around their manager. And then you've got the issue of that you would have to replace him. And I've read lots of different opinions, and some people feel like Salah's playing the game that he's gambling, that everything's going to go wrong and he will come out of it, you know, in a stronger position, potentially the saviour when a new manager comes in. And you've got to navigate all of that, whilst hopefully he retains his status as a legend, and, you know, that's not damaged as well. So it'd be very interesting. Let me know your thoughts. We are back with Premier League predictions actually tomorrow morning with Robbie, where I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about Salah on that. So hopefully it will get resolved today and we can actually predict the games tomorrow. We've also got the Bundesliga goals and highlights coming out for you later today. I'll be live for that. And we've got a live match tomorrow, which is Leipzig, which I'm looking forward to. In fact, there might be players at Leipzig that Liverpool might want to take a look at for a long-term replacement for Salah. Get your comments in, smash a like on the video. I'll speak to you on the next one.